camera back and I don't have my clicker, just like real class. Okay, so today we're going to go over the basic structures of architecture. So these are structures, buildings. So in your notes, you have an article to read and then 6 questions to answer. So and then in these notes, we're going to start with a term, the word that we're talking about, a definition, and then I'm going to give you a picture of an example of what that structure looks like. So you can kind of draw, or you can do a Google search, copy and paste the exact same picture I have is fine, into your notes. So what is a structure? It is anything that is built or constructed that has a plan. So for instance, a tree grows. You could live in it, I guess, but it doesn't have a plan. Okay? There was no builder that was like, this is, drew out a map of exactly what that was going to look like. So any structure that has a plan that was built for a purpose is a structure. Like this skyscraper. This is the Seagram building in New York City. A post and lintel. So it's a post and a lintel. This is a method of construction in which vertical posts support a horizontal beam. So the most famous example is Stonehenge. Here's the posts and the lintel. Columns. They are vertical round pillars that support an arch or an entablature. So these are very common in Greek and Roman architecture. This is from the Parthenon. We'll talk about all the different types of columns here. So a Doric column has a simple capital. So the capital is the top part of the column. So Doric is very basic. It's just the block. Then we have Ionic columns, which have scrolls at the top. So this is, again, the capital is at the top of the column. Then the fanciest is Corinthian. So this is not the only type of Corinthian. It can be any type of like floral fancy design. Okay, so here are columns, and then we have the capital, Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, and then at the top we have an entablature. So a colonnade is a line of arches or columns that bears that horizontal entablature. So this is a colonnade. It's a series of columns that bear the weight of this entablature here at the top. This is, again, the Parthenon in Greece. What is the entablature? Okay, so here we have the capital, the top of the column again. So this is a Doric column. And then all of these parts right here make up the entablature, which is the stuff that's on top of the column. An arch is a vaulted wall or opening that can span large space. So this is a colonnade of arches in the Colosseum. So it's up and over, vaulted wall. There's another example. You'll see these a lot. So this is a bridge and an aqueduct. So water goes through that. This is the Pont du Gard. Here's some other examples of vaults and arches. So you can see the arch goes into the vaulted kind of dome structure found in Gothic cathedrals. And it doesn't just have to be a rounded arch. It can also be pointed or awkward shaped. A dome is a large hemispherical roof or ceiling with arches jointed at the top. So it's multiple arches that form a circle, a hemisphere, and creates an expansive space. So the base is normally either continued to be circular or angled. Like here we have the Hagia Sophia. So there's a dome on top of a kind of cube. A spire. Hopefully you guys may recognize this. We didn't have the Derby this year. This is the tapering or pyramidal structure surmounting a tower. So this right here is the spire at Churchill Downs in Louisville. A cantilever, this is my most famous one because it looks crazy. So this is a horizontally projected beam supported only on one end. So imagine that Stonehenge structure, but we take off one section of the post. Okay, so here's Falling Water. This is a building, I think it's in Pennsylvania, by Frank Lloyd Wright. So this concrete block is extending out from the building and it is not supported on this side. So some really cool engineering to get that structures to stand up. Buttresses. So these are projecting vault-like structures that give stability to load-bearing walls. So it's this little part right here. So this is part of Westminster Abbey. And then a flying buttress. So these are projected out from the side of the building. So this is part of Notre Dame in Paris, the one that they're still rebuilding right now. So it's commonly seen on the exterior of Gothic cathedrals to support high stone walls. So think about when this started being constructed, 600 years ago. Think about the technology they had at the time. They wanted to build walls up and up and up and up and up. The problem is as they started building walls up higher, the walls started to cave out. They hadn't developed the engineering technology yet to be able to kind of figure out how those load-bearing walls were going to collapse. So their solution when they built up a wall and it started to cave out was to put a buttress to literally hold the walls in place. And then they made them decorative and pretty, so they weren't looking at it. Okay, so there's a buttress. So just the buttress is basically just a support wall, an extra wall on the outside. And then the flying buttress is a support arch, like a half arch that comes out from the side of the wall. All right, quiz yourself on these. What structure do you see here? Oh, it's a spire. So we have a post, an unsupported beam at the top. So that is a cantilever. Ooh, look at that fancy stuff at the top of that column. It's a Corinthian column, you're right. Oh, look, it's an arch projecting out away from a wall. It's a flying buttress. Two posts supporting a lintel. Post and lintel. Oh, this is one of your examples. My favorite one. Unsupported beam, cantilever. So we have some spires here, but we also have a dome. A series of columns is a colonnade. Oh, that one was backwards. Scrolled column is ionic. Again, two posts supporting a beam, post and lintel. Arches. You're so smart. Arches. Another dome to kind of look on the inside. Ooh, my favorite arches. It's a pretty famous example of columns. They have little scrolls at the top at the White House. Louisville, Kentucky. Twin spires. It's another shot of Washington, D.C. This is the dome. Okay. So this is your lesson for tomorrow. This is what so you can go ahead and get started on it if you want, but you'll have the whole class on day 5 to work on this as well. You're gonna take out a blank sheet of paper at home, or if you have some sort of digital way to do this, you're welcome to do it digitally. But I think it's just easier to do it on paper. And you are going to pick any 3 structures that we just talked about. So you could pick like a spire and a column and an arch, and somehow combine that into a building of your own design. Okay, and then you're going to upload a picture, turn it in, make sure that you have those structures labeled so I know what you intended